Okay, let's start with traditional question about do you see me and do you hear me? Mm, OBS shows that there is sound. Okay, now let's try to practice with defining functions. So that's a very important moment uh, about object-oriented programming. So defining state, that's quite simple, just using variables with appropriate, just like we have used variables before, but with correct access modifiers. So usually they are private, but let's for today use public. But this syntax for functions, that's much more complicated. So let's think about what cats can do more. So they can eat something. Okay, let's create a new function for eating. So that's still a void because there's no result of eating. Public void eat. And let's give a parameter what to eat. So let it be a type of string. So just a name for the for what to eat. And then let's open a curly braces. So here inside main this eat function, we can just print again the cat name and eats something that came as a parameter. So please rewrite this example of one more function. Okay, and so how can we call it? So again, we're using some of cat objects. We can call it for prints, we can call it for orange prints, and here's our newly defined function eat, and mm, well, how it is. Okay, let him eat a dinner. Well, for example, I don't know, my cat likes yogurt. I don't know how it's written in English. Okay, but he likes it. So let's run, and we see the result. Okay, with mouse we will have just another example. So if you are done with this, so you can put here something another, but except for mouses, because soon we will have example with mouses. So here we have a function with only with one parameter. So and still avoid return type. So this special keyword in Java called void that stands for functions that are just performing something and do not return nothing. For example, like sleep and But why it's in red? Maybe here's no plus sign or some way another. So that's very similar for previous function. Earlier we had two parameters. Now we have another type parameter and one. Okay. So yes, you should not write this. Yes, so that's just idea hints how parameters are called. You are writing only the actual parameter. Okay, so this text in gray with a gray background, so just forget about it, and so that's just hints. Now let's create one more function. So let our cat catch mouses. But well, we do not have a predefinite type called mouse. So we have integer, we have boolean, we have string, but we do not have a mouse. So what is a solution for us when cat needs to catch mouses? So we should define a new class called mouse. So let's do it. Let's create a new class called mouse. So, and let it be just empty for now. So there's not a lot of properties that we can define for mouse. So let it be just an empty class. So we have public class name with uppercase letter starting and curly braces. So just an empty class. So tell me when you're done with this, because we will need to return back into cat class. Okay, let's return into cat class and let's create a function. So let's teach our cat to catch mouses. So let our function still be public, but return type here. We should return a mouse. So here we write as a return type, we write a class name here. So very important. We are not returning some particular object here, but we are returning something of class mouse. And next, still we need to name our function. Let's call it catch mouse. Here we expect no parameters because, well, okay, we are just letting our cat go outside and catch some mouses. So here we do not expect any parameters. And now, very important moment here. When we have definite some return type, something instead of something that is not void, we should write by this syntax rules, we should write a special keyword that's called return. So one more new word for today, return. Return, this statement will actually return some value to the calling code. So here inside zoo we are calling functions. So the result of so if we are using something instead of void here, we can save the result of this function execution to some variable or just to print it. So what is written here after return will be returned to calling code. So we can create a new mouse, for example, and we can return it here. So please repeat this function declaration. Okay, now let's back to class zoo and let's ask our prince to catch some mouses. So here it is new function called catch mouse. Here we do not give any parameters, so no parameters, and here it is just empty brackets. But what's the difference here? So we can just call this function and just ignore return type. But when function returns something, when we can save it to a variable. So mouse catched mouse is equal to prints. So this will be more correct in English. So that's the syntax for case when function returns something and we are storing result of function execution to a variable. After then we can print this coughed mouse, but there will be nothing interesting in this. So please rewrite these 2 lines of code, run. So you will get for coughed mouse something like that. So that's not really important because we do not have any properties for mouse definite. So here will be just some not interesting technical info about a class. But most important moment is here. Okay, so that's about return types. Let's create one more function. So let our cat just return its age. So we can access from a zoo to an age variable directly, but let's just for educational purposes, let's create functions that just returns age. So one more function, public. Here we have a return type of int, and because our variable is of type int, and get age, for example. Again, uh, no parameters, and here we just writing return age. So this age, this is instance variable, and we can access it inside our functions, and we can give the value outside if it is requested. So this is called getter function because it's just returning this itself own inner state, and is called in this manner. So get and field name. So please copy this function declaration and let's after that let's look more inside this syntax details. So the rule for return type is the type of what we're returning should be consistent here. So if we are returning age of type int, so this return type declared in functions should be the same. So we cannot write here string. Compiler would say us that yes, required type string provided int. So that's not illegal. The second rule is that when we are using something instead of void, we really should return something. So, and we should return it guaranteedly. So imagine situation. So if okay, let's create one more function. Public. So function that returns us some boolean fact: is our cat old or not? No parameters. And here we should return some boolean value. And for example, if age of our cat is less than 8, so let's return false. Let's assume that it's a young cat. But look, our compiler still is not happy because it says missing return statement. Why? Because here's some condition, and only if this condition is met, we are returning something. But during a runtime, we can have a cat that's age is more than 8, for example, and in that case, we're returning nothing. So this Java compiler is expecting from us that we, if we are using conditionals with return together, that waits for us an exact and guaranteed return. So if we are using conditionals here, we should go through all branches and write all possible options here. So if we are talking about age, so there can be two options. Age is less some uh, than some constant value, and it can be equal or more. So here we have we are guaranteedly return something. So please rewrite also this example. Okay, if it is done, let's return to zoo class. And here, so about these rules of return type. So if we're getting age from a prince, so we can just call this function and ignore return time. So that's legal. We can just call and ignore. Underlined in red. So if it is underlined in red, maybe you have void instead of boolean here or something another. So you should have public, boolean, and function main here. So please be careful with this return type. Here you should use exactly boolean. So let's get back here to get age. So we can ignore it, but we can store this to variable. Uh, and again here, we should use here exact variable type. So we cannot say here that age is a type of string, so that's illegal. Only exact the same return type, like it is definite, like it's definite here in function. So it is still red, so please send me a private message with this function declaration. I'll look in a while. So here it's about an age, and the last function that we have defined is old or not. Okay, so again, we use boolean as a variable type for this because it is return type boolean. Let's call it is old and prints dot is old. So that's how we are getting value. And let's print this these two variables. Let's get age and let's print it is old or not. So please rewrite this code with function calling and run it. Okay, so we just got age from a cat and asked a cat is he old or not. So cat resolved it here. Now let's have a little practical assignment. Let's create a class called dog. So again, without a main function, because we do not need it here. So this assignment is to create a class dog with to describe dog, and each dog has its nickname and breed, or how it is called in English correctly. So it is Collie, Doberman, or something like else. And this dog, and let's imagine all dogs should that can perform next actions. So each dog can chase cars, chase car. Okay, one that takes a parameter, uh, this car state number, and each dog can catch cat. So like each cat can caught a mouse, each dog can catch some cat. So yes, this is practical assignment. So please fill the contents of this class with some little state and some behavior. So this function is just a void that is printing how a dog is trying to chase a car with state number, and catch cat, that's a function with will be with return type, correct, that will return us some cat. And when you describe this, put these calling functions inside Zoo class main function. So 12 minutes for that until 20:55. Is assignment clear for now? Okay, then let's start, and now you have time till 20:55. State number, that's just a string. For example, AB 1, 2, 3, 4. Just we have this car state numbers in Latvia. So I'll turn off voice, but translation will still remain. So let's get back after 10 minutes. Well, okay. Any success with this assignment? Well, okay. Let's continue till 21, so 4 more minutes. Uh, well, okay, let's continue. So really did not understand what the problem is with breed. So that's just a additional string. So okay, let me show you how my solution for this. Okay, just like with cat that has its name, uh, our dog has a nickname. So just a public string nickname and public string breed. So that will be a state. So just instant fields. So this is how our dog will be uh, described by these instant fields. Okay, now let's talk about behavior. So first function is chase car. So we have already agreed that it will be avoid function. So this will results of chasing will be empty. Uh, Car usually is much faster than dog, so our dog will not catch a car. So this will be avoid type function. So here it is name, chase car, and now we have to pass a parameter of this car state number. So let it be string state number. Now here we open and close these curly braces, and here let's just print so breed and name, sorry, nickname. So okay, let it be like name and surname for dog. So breed and nickname plus is chasing car, and here let's use state number. So this will be a chase car function. So for now, if you are missing some of that, so please rewrite. I'll wait a minute here for that before continue. Okay, and now let's implement the last function, catch cat. So still public function, but here now we will have to use return type of type cat. So we already defined this class here, so we will return a catched cat here. So function name is catch cat, and like a grid without parameters, like a cat have coughed mouses. So here we do not expect any parameters. And what we do not need here. So here we need to create some cat, give him a name and age, and return it. So let's create a new cat. So new cat, and let's give him a state. So this cat name will be, let it be sarcastic name Lucky, and let him be 3 years old. So here we have created, or the second synonym for this is instantiated. So object and instance is synonyms. So objects are created, instances are instantiated. So this is also a synonyms that are often used between Java developers. Well, so however, this cat lives here. This dog class, this dog instances do not know anything about what happens here in the zoo class. So that's a good question, but well, if we can somehow save this reference somewhere here inside our application, and then this dog can get this reference. So if we have some, I don't know, a box, global box with cats from which dog can take them, well, okay. But that will need one more class that will hold the cats, and from zoo we have to put these cats in some box, and from dog we can put them out of a box. But this class do not know nothing about what happens here inside zoo. So we have created cat here, and we are returning it. So if we are using non-void return type, we should return exactly, we should return an instance of class that we have described here, or a variable of or primitive variable of definite type. Okay, now please rewrite this if it is not done yet. And after a minute we will return to class zoo. So we will try to create instance of dog with that can perform this behavior. Okay, now here inside zoo class we need to create our dog. So here's type dog. Next we are naming our variable. So for example Rexis, new dog. Now let's give a name for this dog. And let's give a breed for this dog. So I hope I have written this correctly. And now our dog is completely initialized, so it has name and it has a breed, and now we can ask our dog to perform something. So let him chase a car and let him to catch some cat. Okay, so here, so when we are asking to catch a cat, so we will get a return. So this function returns some coughed cat. And now with this coughed cat, we can do something else. Tā lekcija turpinās, jā. So I hope translation is still alive. Okay, so this coughed cat, we can get some data about this coughed cat. So let's ask this cat about its name. And let's ask this cat about its age. Okay, now we may ask this coughed cat to catch some mouse. Let's call it coughed cat, coughed mouse. And let's ask our coughed cat to sleep. I don't know, 8 hours. Okay, so here how we can use our, so that's how we instantiate our dog. Here we give him this inner state, and that's how we are using him, chasing car and catching a cat. So this cat, so this will be just another instance of class cat, and we can ask this cat to do something. So it is coughed, not dead, and we can use it. So please rewrite this example of this dog usage. And when it is done, please tell me. We will use debug to look step by step on what is happening here. Okay, then let's try to debug. Okay, now, so after this line execution, somewhere in our random access memory, we will get a dog and a variable called rexis. So we will have an empty dog without any nickname, without any breed. But so we will have some record in operating memory about it. Now we're assigning a state to this dog. So we are giving him a nickname, we are giving him a breed. So now this dog is fully instantiated. Okay, now here we are asking him to chase a car. Okay, I am going into this function, and look what I have here. Inside this variable I have this nickname and breed, so I can use them. Actually, I'm using them here. So I'm using breed, I'm using nickname. This some static text is chasing car, and here I use a parameter. So this data is available for me to use here inside this function. Okay, and what we have got in console. So this this is our dog is chasing car, and here it is state numbers that we have get as a parameter for this function. Now we have returned after this function, and here now we will go inside function catchCat. Let's go inside. So I step into function. Okay, so that's still the same dog, Rexis, and now we create a new cat. So this cat now it is empty, so it doesn't have any name. It doesn't have so well it has age of 0 because integer cannot held to null, so it just have a default value. But now we're giving a name and an age to our cat. So now our cat is fully instantiated. It has a name and this has an age. And what we're doing here, we are returning this object to our calling place. So by doing here step over, I am returning to zoo class, and now here I've got this created cat. So I have created here inside this dog class, but just by returning I've got it now here. Here I can use it. So that's how we can pass objects in our application. So we can create object in one part of application, and just by returns and function parameters we can pass it to some another part of application. So that's how works this let's say information channels in our application. So that's how can we pass objects and data between our application. So here now I can work with this coughed cat. I can print its name, I can print its age. So here it's printed now. And I can use this cat just like every other cat. So I can ask him to catch a mouse. Okay, let's go into. And now we are inside the class cat. So here we're creating a new mouse and returning this. Okay, this mouse is coughed, so we can somehow use it, but this mouse doesn't have any behavior special. So let it be just here. Now I can use, so this cat worked, has done a good job, coughed a mouse, let him now sleep some 8 hours. So again, step into a function, and just like every other cat, he sleeps. So here we are printing cat name sleeps for some time that we have given here, hours and minutes. Printing here we have this sleeps 80, and so here now that's over. Okay, so for now, is this clear about dog and how to use it? So, or do you have any questions here? So okay, just so I wanted to give you a homework, but I need now to take a little bit more of material, so maybe we will have to spend 5 additional minutes. So I hope so. Isn't that a problem for you if we will take some 5-10 additional minutes to Lection? Uh, okay, good. So I understand that Friday evening that's not a best time for a lot of new information, but because I want to give a homework for weekend. Let's take this a little bit. Okay, let's now create a new class called snake. Again, without a main function. And now let's remember how was it with cat and dog when we have initialized these parameters, this class instant fields. So we have these fields and we have initialized them from outside. So where we have written object dot name and give a value, object dot age and give a value. So there's one more way to pass these initial values to an object. So here is a very special function that is called when object is created. When object is created here, when we are using this new keyword. So here, so to so let our snake have also some additional this state, this field variables. So let it have a name and an age. And now let's create a very special function that is called constructor. So constructor is a very special function that doesn't have a return type. So neither int, string, or something else, nor void. So it doesn't have even a void return type. And its name is always the same as class name. So one-to-one. So class name and this function name. And so this function is called constructor. So it is called when we are using this keyword new. And this can have parameters. String name, string age. So this function can have parameters. And here we can pass an initial values. So now you see that we can have this instant fields with the same name as function parameters. So from Java point of view, that's absolutely legal. Sorry, int age. So they have similar types, they have similar names. So that's not mandatory for them. So I can just have absolutely another name, but most probably you will see something like this. And so how to put values that came here into this instance fields? So we are doing this by the special keyword new, this. So this name is equal to name. This age is equal to age. So this dot something, that always stands for uh, this class variables, instance fields. But here, when we're not using this, so it goes here for uh, function parameters. So please rewrite this example. So two instance fields and this constructor. Okay, now let's get back to zoo class and let's create a new snake. Snake car is equal to new snake. And look, what's here? When I ask to create a new snake, I cannot have these brackets just empty, because now when I have declared constructor that asks us already about a name and age, here I cannot create just snake without a name and age. So that's how I defining this class. I am creating a rule for all those who create instance of this class to give a name and age at the moment of instantiation. So now having we cannot create a new snake without these mandatory parameters. So here I need to give a name and age. So earlier, when we have created a dog, a cat, a mouse, we haven't declared constructors. So that's because we can have them this way without initial values. But when we are defining constructors, uh, this instantiation, this creating a new object, will ask so much and exactly those parameters that are declared here inside constructor. So by this we now do not this is much easier approach to give initial values. So here is example with dog. So we created an empty dog, and after that we have given initial values. But now with constructor we can create an object and give values here. So in one line. After that uh, we can already use them. So here please copy these two lines of code. So yes, now we have this snake name that is So we can get it on the next line after instantiation. So the most important thing here is that we can give these parameters in the same time when we are creating the object. Let's have it in a debug. So I can go inside, so I can step into already at the time of this creating new object. So here I write new snake, snake name and age. I go into, and look, I'm inside constructor. So this, when we are defining constructors, so that's not mandatory to have a constructor. So this is optional. But when we are using this, this will be called when we are calling new keyword when creating an object. So here inside, let's look here. So this age and this name is have default null values. So our object at this moment is empty. So it doesn't have a name and doesn't have an age. But we have them inside parameters. So here they comes with name and age. Then after calling this name is equal to name, so this name will stands for this class field, and this name from the right part, it is parameter. So now this name becomes what is given here inside parameter. And this age will get, so now it has value 0, but after executing this line, so assigning value given from here, from parameter. So now we have here this name, given name, and age, given age. Now the constructor is over, and we have this complete object with right instance fields. So this is much better way to give initial values instead of this old approach. So I hope you agree on that. So first, do you agree on that? And the second, so is it more or less clear with constructor? So this is very often used syntax. And now let's talk about a homework. So I have put this in a GitHub. It is called homework matrix 3. So what do you need to do? You need to create a class called matrix 3 and that have a special constructor. This constructor, like we have here for snake, it accepts two-dimensional integer array. So that's for you to do not forget about integer arrays. And then after getting this array as a parameter, we need to check its size. So here in a constructor we have may have some additional code. So I can print something or I can perform some checks. So this is so I can do everything here instead, but excluding return something. So I can have here additional code inside constructor. So, and you will need to create a validation. So this passed array should be of size 3 on 3. If the size isn't right, please just copy and paste this line of code. So this will throw an exception and stop the execution of application. So I will talk about that on the next lesson a little bit. So for now you just can copy and paste this. And this class should provide following functionality. So one function to just print this internal state, just to print this two-dimensional array. So we already know how to print it. Next function is to calculate determinant. So this will be just function that calculates determinant. You already know how to do it. We have this in a previous homework. So take this inner matrix, calculate determinant, and return it. So we already know how to return some value. And the last one is transpose a matrix. So transpose is some operational matrix when we change by places columns and rows. So let's see here 5, 4, 3. Now we have them here vertical 5, 4, 3. This no, not really here. So we had here 5, 4, 7. Now we have them horizontally. 4, 0, 10. Now we have them. We had them vertical, and now we have them horizontally. So that's a simple transformation of matrix. So I think you should already know how to do it. And this will be a void type function. So we are changing inner state of our matrix. And so you can just from outside. So you'll have to create an additional class with main function that will create instance of this matrix, give it initial values, and then asks to print this internal state, calculate determinant and print it, and then transpose and print this once more. So I'll adjust this homework text, but for now I hope that is more or less clear what we need to do. So create two classes, one matrix 3 that can do all these things, and one additional class with main function where you create this matrix and use it, just like we have here. So we have a zoo class with main function, and we have additional classes, this cat, mouse, dog, snake. We have created here and used them. So for now, is it clear with homework? Yes, I understand. Okay, so I'll a little bit change this text about calling class, but mostly it will remain the same. Uh, so I'm sorry for getting late today, but for now I wish you a good weekend and bye bye.